Welcome to Lying and Cheating. Please like this video and subscribe. Lying and Cheating. It was about 4 weeks after my wife gave birth to our son when she hit me with something I never saw coming. It was the kind of confession that knocks the wind out of you, makes you question everything you thought you knew about your life. She told me she had cheated on me. And not just recently, no. She said it happened a few months after we'd gotten married. We had barely settled into married life, and she had already gone behind my back. To say I didn't know how to process it would be an understatement. We had been married for what? 2, maybe 3 months at that point? I thought things were fine. Maybe we weren't in some perfect honeymoon phase, but I didn't feel like anything was wrong. Then, she drops this bomb. She tells me it was with one of her ex-boyfriends. She doesn't even say his name, just one of my exes, as if that makes it better somehow. As if that little detail might soften the blow. And then she tries to downplay it like it wasn't a big deal. She says, it was just hand stuff. Nothing serious. But how can I believe that? Really, what does that even mean? Is she telling me the truth? Or is this just a watered-down version of the story to make it easier for me to swallow? My mind was racing, trying to make sense of it all. I mean, hand stuff? That's still cheating, isn't it? It's still a violation of trust, no matter what she tries to call it. My emotions were all over the place. I didn't know what to feel: anger, hurt, confusion. I wanted to scream, to cry, to lash out, but I just sat there, numb. And on top of all that, she decided to tell me this just 4 weeks after she gave birth to our son. 4 weeks after one of the happiest moments of my life. It felt like she had taken the joy of becoming a father and twisted it into something ugly, something I couldn't enjoy anymore. Because now, I couldn't stop thinking, is this baby even mine? That's the part that's tearing me up inside. The timeline of everything doesn't make sense. If she cheated 2 or 3 months into our marriage, and we found out she was pregnant not long after, how can I be sure? My head is spinning with all these doubts, and every time I look at our son, I wonder, is he mine? Does he have my blood running through his veins? Or does he belong to someone else? It's a sickening feeling, not knowing. It's like my heart is in a constant state of panic, waiting for the answer. And so, I made a decision. I ordered a paternity test without her knowing. It's supposed to arrive tomorrow. I thought I'd feel better once I took some action, but honestly, I'm terrified of what it'll say. I'm scared out of my mind. Right now, I'm holding on by a thread, and the only thing keeping me from completely falling apart is our son. Or at least the thought of him. I want to try to work things out, but if we didn't have this child, I'd already be out the door. There's no doubt in my mind that I'd leave. But with him in the picture, it's not that simple. I can't just walk away. I want to be there for him. I want him to have a father, to have both parents under one roof. But every time I think about what she did, it's like I'm hit with a fresh wave of pain. It feels impossible to move forward when I can't stop looking back. And it's not just the pain either. It's the confusion, the anger, the love. That's what's killing me the most. The fact that I still love her. How is that even possible? How can I love someone who's hurt me this much? I hate her for what she did, but at the same time, I can't just turn off the feelings I've had for her since we met. It's like my heart is at war with itself. One minute I want to forgive her, to move on for the sake of our family, and the next, I want to scream at her for tearing apart the life we had built together. I hate myself for being in this position, for even considering the possibility of working things out after such a betrayal. But then I think of our son, and I'm stuck all over again. The hardest part is that I can't even talk to anyone about this. I don't want to burden my friends or family with this mess. I don't want to be the guy who spills his personal life to everyone, airing out dirty laundry that no one needs to see. But keeping it all inside is killing me. I feel like I'm suffocating. Like this secret is crushing me from the inside out. I've never felt this kind of pain before, and the worst part is, I don't see a way out of it. I've been trying to act normal for our son's sake. I don't want him to grow up in a house full of tension and sadness, but it's hard. I wake up every day and force myself to get out of bed, to go through the motions, to be a good dad. But it's like I'm playing a part in a play that I didn't sign up for. I put on a smile when I have to, but underneath, I'm falling apart. I'm scared my son will pick up on it, that he'll see through the act and realize how broken I am. He's just a baby now, But kids are smart. They can sense when something's wrong. And I don't want to be the reason he grows up in a broken home. Sometimes I find myself staring at him while he sleeps, wondering if he's really mine. Wondering if this little life I've fallen so in love with belongs to someone else. The thought makes me sick to my stomach, but I can't shake it. It's like a dark cloud that follows me everywhere I go. I can't escape it, no matter how hard I try. Tomorrow, that test will come in, and everything could change. I keep telling myself I'm prepared for whatever the result is, but deep down, I know that's a lie. If the test comes back and he's not mine, I don't know what I'll do. Will I be able to stay? Will I be able to look at him the same way? Will I be able to forgive her for dragging me into this mess? I want to say that I'll still love him no matter what, that I'll still be his dad and nothing will change. But honestly, I don't know if I'm strong enough for that. And if the test says he is mine, will that make everything better? Will I suddenly be able to forgive her and move on like none of this ever happened? I doubt it. The betrayal will still be there. The pain won't magically disappear. And I'll still have to live with the knowledge that the woman I married, the woman I trusted, was capable of hurting me in the worst way possible. I don't have a roadmap for this. I don't have a guidebook telling me what the right thing to do is. I'm just trying to survive day by day, moment by moment. Some days, I think I'll make it through, that I'll find a way to put the pieces of my life back together. And other days, it feels like the weight of it all is too much to bear. I feel like I'm drowning, and no one can see it because I've gotten so good at pretending I'm okay. But I'm not okay. I'm far from it. I'm scared. I'm angry. I'm heartbroken. I'm all of these things, all at once, and I don't know how to fix it. Tomorrow, I'll have an answer, but I'm not sure that answer will give me the closure I'm looking for. I'm not sure it'll solve anything at all. I've done everything for this woman. Everything. When I say that, I don't mean it lightly. I've been over backwards to give her the life she always said she wanted, and I did it without complaint. From day one, I've been the one pushing myself, working harder, grinding to make enough so that she could live her dream of being a stay-at-home mom. I worked long hours, took on extra responsibilities, all so she could be home with our child, so she didn't have to worry about a thing. It wasn't easy, but I did it for her, for us, for the family I thought we were building together. And it wasn't just about money. It was everything, every decision, every sacrifice I made was for her. I remember when we started talking about relocating across the country, so we could be closer to some of her family. She said it would make her happy, that it would give her a support system while she raised our son. And so, I agreed. It wasn't what I wanted. I wasn't looking forward to uprooting my life, my career, everything I'd worked for. But I thought, if this is what she needs, then I'll make it happen. I started planning for the move, making arrangements, setting things in motion, all for her. I even bought her a car. She wanted a new one to make things easier with the baby, and I didn't hesitate. I figured if it would help her feel more comfortable, more secure, then it was worth it. Never mind that I haven't bought myself anything in years. I've been putting her needs above mine since the day we got married. I've always given her anything she asked for, anything she wanted, no questions asked. And this is how she repays me? It feels like a slap in the face. No, worse. It feels like someone ripped my heart out and stomped on it. After everything I've done, after all the sacrifices I've made for her, she goes and cheats on me. With her ex, of all people. It's like I never meant anything to her. Like all the love, the effort, the commitment I've put into our marriage was for nothing. And now, here I am, sitting in the wreckage of what I thought was a happy life, wondering if any of it was even real. Did she ever really love me? Or was I just some convenient option until something better came along? I can't help but wonder if there were signs I missed along the way. Was I too focused on providing for her that I didn't see what was happening right in front of me? Did I work too much, spend too much time at the office, and not enough time at home? I thought I was doing the right thing by making sure we were financially secure, by building a future for our family. But maybe in doing so, I left her feeling neglected, like she wasn't getting the attention she needed. I don't know. I'm grasping at straws here, trying to figure out where things went wrong. But no matter how much I try to rationalize it, I can't find an excuse for what she did. I keep running through it in my head, trying to make sense of it all, but nothing about this makes sense. How could she do this to me? How could she look me in the eye every day, knowing what she had done, and pretend like everything was fine? How long would she have kept this secret if she hadn't confessed? Would she have taken it to her grave, letting me live in ignorance while she carried on with this lie? I've been trying to hold it together for the sake of our son, but it's getting harder and harder each day. I feel like I'm at a breaking point. I can't stop thinking about the possibility of divorce. It's like this nagging thought in the back of my mind that won't go away. Part of me doesn't want to even consider it because of our son. I want him to grow up in a stable home with both parents. But at the same time, how can I stay with someone who's betrayed me like this? How can I continue to share my life, my bed, my heart with someone who's capable of hurting me this deeply? But divorce isn't an easy option either. I've been reading up on custody laws, and it's terrifying. The court will almost always favor the mother, especially when the child is as young as ours. No matter what she's done, no matter how she's hurt me, the law is on her side because she's his mom. And that kills me. I'm a good father. I love my son more than anything in this world. I've been there for him since the day he was born. But when push comes to shove, the court could very well give her the majority of the custody just because she's his mother, and that thought alone sends me into a panic. It doesn't help that she doesn't even have a job right now. If we go down the road of divorce, she'll likely end up living with her parents, which I know wouldn't be the best situation for our son. It's not that I have anything against her parents. They're decent enough people, but their house isn't exactly the ideal place to raise a child. It's cramped, chaotic, and I can't imagine our son thriving in that environment. But that's where she'd end up if she doesn't have a job, and I can't stand the idea of him being raised in a situation that's less than what he deserves. I feel trapped. On one hand, I want out of this marriage because I don't know if I can ever look at her the same way again. Every time I think about what she did, I feel this anger, this hurt, that makes me want to scream. But on the other hand, I'm terrified of what divorce would mean for my relationship with my son. I'm scared that I'll lose him, that I won't get to be the father I want to be, the father he needs me to be. I don't want to be a part-time dad, only seeing him on weekends and holidays. I want to be there every day, watching him grow, teaching him, loving him. I want to be the kind of dad he can look up to, the kind of dad he deserves. But if I stay, can I be that dad? Can I be a good father while I'm stuck in a marriage that feels like it's built on lies? I've been going back and forth on this for days, trying to figure out what the right move is. Divorce feels like an admission of failure, like giving up on the life we were supposed to have. But staying feels like I'm betraying myself, like I'm sacrificing my own happiness and dignity for the sake of a broken relationship. I don't want my son to grow up in a home where his parents are miserable, but I also don't want him to grow up without his dad. Does anyone who's been through something like this have any advice? I feel like I'm walking a tightrope, and one wrong step could send everything crashing down. I don't want to make a rash decision, but at the same time, I don't know how much longer I can live in this limbo. I'm tired of pretending everything is okay when it's not. I'm tired of feeling like I'm not good enough, like I wasn't enough to keep her happy. I don't know what the right path is, but I do know that something has to change. I can't keep living like this. My mind keeps circling back to one thought, and I'm almost ashamed to admit it. I keep thinking that maybe, just maybe, the best thing for our son would be for both of us to stay under the same roof, even if it means I have to suffer for the next 18 years. I mean, how bad could it really be to grit my teeth and bear it until he's old enough to move out on his own? It's not an ideal solution, not by a long shot, but maybe it's the right thing to do. Maybe the only way I can protect him, give him the best chance at a stable life, is to sacrifice my own happiness. But then, I pause, wondering if I'm being selfish in thinking that. Am I deluding myself into believing that staying together, in a marriage that's already fractured beyond repair, is really better for him? Or am I just afraid of the unknown, scared of being alone, terrified of what a broken home could mean for him and for me? I don't know anymore. Every decision I consider feels like the wrong one, and the weight of it is crushing me. I've been sitting here, rereading the thoughts and opinions shared by complete strangers, and I can't even begin to describe how much it means to me. It's only been a few minutes since I poured my heart out here, but your responses are like a lifeline. I haven't had anyone to talk to about this, no one to turn to, and the loneliness has been suffocating. Just knowing that people hear me, that they understand, makes this unbearable weight a little lighter. I never realized how alone I felt until I started reading these replies, and for the first time in a long time, I don't feel like I'm drowning. A little more context, since you've all been so kind. I'm only 25 years old, and she's just 24. We're so young, and yet, here we are, standing on the edge of something that feels like it could destroy everything. It's hard to see beyond the mess of it all, to imagine a future where I've moved on, where I've healed. I know, rationally, that I've got a long life ahead of me. I know that in time, I'll recover from this. But right now, it feels impossible to look that far ahead. When I think about the days, the weeks, the years to come, I don't see happiness. I don't see peace. All I see is pain, no matter which path I choose. And as if things weren't already complicated enough, there's something else that haunts me. She's threatened to end her own life if I leave. The words came out of her mouth like a storm cloud rolling in, darkening everything in its wake. And now, I can't escape it. The thought of her doing something like that scares me to death, in ways I can't even put into words. I'm terrified that if I walk away, I'll be condemning her to something irreversible. And how could I live with that on my conscience? How could I look my son in the eye, knowing I played a part in something so final, so devastating? But here's the part no one talks about. I'm scared for her, yes, but I'm also scared for myself. If she's willing to go to those lengths to keep me in this marriage, what does that say about the life I'm walking back into? If she's already threatening to end her life, what happens when the weight of her regret, her shame, becomes too much for her to bear? What happens when I'm no longer enough to stop her from going through with it? I feel like I'm caught in a nightmare, and there's no escape, no way to save her, no way to save myself. I feel trapped, torn between my fear for her and my own need for something better. How did we get here? How did everything fall apart so quickly? We're just two people who got married too young, hoping for a fairy tale, and now, it feels like I'm living in a tragedy. I want to save her. I want to save our family. But the truth is, I don't know if I can. And then, as if the universe heard me, something happened that I didn't see coming. Something that changed everything. I got the results from the paternity test. I don't know what I expected when I opened that envelope. I'd spent days agonizing over it, wondering if this child, this beautiful little boy I'd held in my arms from the moment he was born, was really mine. The doubt had been eating away at me, gnawing at my heart, even though I tried to push it aside. But when I finally ripped open that envelope, my hands shaking, my heart pounding in my chest, I realized I had no idea how much was riding on this piece of paper. I read the results once, then twice, and then a third time, just to be sure. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. The world around me seemed to collapse, and all I could hear was the pounding of my own heartbeat echoing in my ears. He's not mine. My son, my beautiful, innocent son, isn't mine. The baby I've been raising, loving, cherishing for months, isn't my blood. He's hers, and her ex's. And in that moment, it felt like everything inside me shattered into a million pieces. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. I wanted to tear the world apart, because nothing made sense anymore. But instead, I sat there in silence, numb, staring at that paper as if it held some kind of answer to the impossible situation I found myself in. It didn't. It only confirmed what I'd been afraid to even whisper to myself in the dead of night, that this marriage was built on lies, and now, the truth had come crashing down on me in the most brutal way possible. For days, I couldn't look at her. I couldn't look at him. I felt like a stranger in my own home, living with people I no longer recognized. I thought I knew what betrayal felt like. But this was something else entirely. This was a betrayal that reached down to the very core of who I am, of what I believed about family, love, and trust. I thought about leaving. I thought about packing my bags and walking out the door without looking back. But every time I got close, I heard his little voice, calling me Daddy. And that's when I realized the truth. Blood doesn't make a father. Love does. In the end, it wasn't the DNA that mattered. It wasn't the lies or the betrayal or the pain that threatened to consume me whole. It was the love I had for him, the child I'd held, cared for, protected. The child I promised to raise, no matter what. And that's when I made my decision. I'm staying, not for her, not for the marriage that's already in ruins, but for him. Because no matter what, he is my son. He always will be. And as for her, I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if we'll ever recover from this, or if we're destined to live in this fractured space, pretending for the sake of appearances. But I do know this. No matter what, I'll be the father he deserves. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough.